Well, ESPN reports the Dallas Cowboys paid $2.4 million to settle a potential lawsuit with 4 Cowboys cheerleaders who accused a team executive of voyeurism.
The sports network obtained documents from a confidential state settlement and talked with sources that allege longtime public relations vice president Richard Dalrymple recorded video of the cheerleaders changing in a locker room at AT&T Stadium in 2015. The report claims the women hired an attorney for a potential lawsuit when they felt the team's investigation came up short. We have team coverage tonight, beginning with Fox 4's Mike Ducey. Mike.
Steve, in the article, there are 2 allegations against Rich Dalrymple. One of them involves that alleged incident in the cheerleaders' locker room. The other has to do with Cowboys Vice President Charlotte Jones, the daughter of Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. Dalrymple spent 32 years as Cowboys Vice President of Public Relations before retiring February 2nd. You see him here talking with Dak Prescott before a game. The ESPN report claims that during the team's kickoff luncheon at AT&T Stadium in September of 2015, Dalrymple went into the cheerleaders' locker room. While they were undressing, one cheerleader allegedly noticing Dalrymple pointing a cell phone toward the cheerleaders. Through a team PR consultant, Dalrymple said that he had gone in to use the restroom, and once he realized it was occupied, he left. Also, according to the ESPN article, in April of 2015, a Cowboys fan watching a live stream of the team's draft war room claims to have noticed Dalrymple taking upskirt photos of Charlotte Jones. In a statement to ESPN, Dalrymple said that one incident was accidental and the other simply did not happen. A Cowboys spokesman saying that the team investigated the charges and found no evidence of wrongdoing. Dalrymple retired February 2nd. He says the ESPN reporting had nothing to do with his retirement and that he made the decision before being contacted by a reporter working on the story. I'm Mike Ducey, Fox 4 Sports.
Mike, thank you. So that ESPN report goes into detail about the investigation that the Cowboys organization conducted that, again, did not meet the satisfaction of those cheerleaders.
Allegations like this within other NFL organizations have led to league, even congressional investigations. Fox 4's Blake Hansen joining us with more details and some expert legal opinion, too. Blake.
As Steve and Heather, the incidents described in the ESPN article are now several years old, but they come at a time that the league finds itself in the spotlight over workplace culture. The ESPN report goes into detail about the September 2015 kickoff luncheon at AT&T Stadium. The outlet reporting 4 cheerleaders were changing in a locker room when one claimed to see then longtime VP of Public Relations Rich Dalrymple with a phone pointed at them. It resulted in a team investigation in which the team says it found no evidence of wrongdoing.
So kudos to these Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders for being brave and speaking out about something that was very serious.
Amy Davis is an attorney not associated with the case, with expertise in labor and employment law.
Employers have 2 duties. They have a duty to have a policy that will prevent these types of things, and then they have a duty to act promptly when something like this is brought to their attention.
Cowboys officials told ESPN the investigation began the day of the alleged incident, with human resources officials gathering statements and the team's general counsel taking Dalrymple's work-issued iPhone. The team said it later brought in a forensics firm to ensure he hadn't deleted any images. ESPN also reports right after the incident, the cheerleaders immediately reported what had happened to a security guard. 3 people said the security guard wanted to report the incident to the Arlington Police Department. But it does not appear police were ever looped in. Arlington police tell Fox 4 that it doesn't appear they were ever contacted about the allegations. Davis says employers are not always required to notify police of incidents.
Now, there's some gray areas, and frankly, I think this may fall into that gray area. When you're talking about workplace safety or violence in the workplace.
The cheerleaders would eventually obtain outside counsel. Fort Worth attorney Kelly Poles declined to comment Wednesday, given it's a confidential matter. He did not deny the accuracy of the reporting. Nationally, there's been increasing scrutiny on workplace culture within NFL teams. A House Oversight Committee is currently looking into the NFL's handling of the Washington Commanders' workplace culture investigation. Employees within the organization have alleged sexual harassment and improper conduct.
I honestly think it's a good thing. If we are hearing about these things, that means that they're not being swept under the rug. That means they're being handled. That means that people feel comfortable bringing these things to the attention of their employers.
ESPN reports that after the locker room incident, the team reconfigured key card access to locker rooms for all staff, also added cameras and signs to alert security staff when those locker rooms were in use.